ever since I started cycling, I've just been like kind of obsessed with being my best.
So welcome back to the show. On this episode of Chatting with Champions, we speak to Sarah Gigante. In 2018, Sarah was the national junior champion. In 2019, she was the national champion, Oceania world champion, and went pro with the Tibco Silicon Valley Bank team. And in 2020 and 21, won the national title. Welcome, Sarah, to the show. And very soon she'll be competing in Tokyo.
Welcome winning gold for Australia.
Get some jewelry.
Thanks for having me.
So when you decided to move to Spain, what was the draw? What was the draw about Spain? Was it the roads or was it
the overall lifestyle?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't really moved here. It was just I needed somewhere to go for the 2 months leading up to the Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah.
So my rental actually runs out when I leave, which is a bit sad because I will miss Girona a lot. But I chose Spain mainly. I just heard about what an amazing training environment it is, and it truly is one. So the weather is also amazing, as well as the roads and the drivers and the whole cycling community. And there are lots of Australians here as well.
Have you linked up with many of the Australians there are using them as training buddies?
Yeah, I've gone for a ride with quite a few different Aussies, which is nice when you're a long way from home.
100%. Does it make it feel almost more comfortable and at ease almost?
Yeah, although most of my riding's alone right now, which is completely different to normal. So yeah, back home, we've only done about half of my rides alone, and now like 90% or 95% are alone. I think it's being away from my normal riding buddy, so I'm yet to find the same group, which is normal. Like I've only been here when I first arrived in Girona, I had a broken arm and a broken leg, so I've only been riding outside for like a month. And also I'm just training really specifically for the Olympics. Lots of time training, which is not very social.
Wow, you're on the walls a little bit. I've read about your crash you had in 2019, but was it 2019? Was it 2019 when you did your elbow and arms? And another one. Jeez, not good.
Yeah, and this one was just a couple months out from the Olympics. Not ideal to break your leg.
Yeah, but how's that? Definitely not ideal. How's that impacted your training?
Yeah, it was really hard at the start. I wasn't sure if I'd still be. Well, I wasn't sure at all if I'd be picked for the Olympics. But then throw in a broken collarbone, broken elbow, and broken fibula, and I was really doubtful that I'd still be picked for the Olympics. It was just a shock, a nice shock to get the call to say I was still in the Olympic team, and that felt pretty surreal. But then, I was off the bike a lot longer than I first thought. So I did know straight away I'd broken my leg, and like my arm area was just like on fire. So I could tell that both were broken. But yeah, when I got to the first hospital in Belgium, they said it wouldn't be too long off the bike, like a lot less than it ended up being. I had to take quite a few weeks pretty much off training, because if I pedaled too hard, then my hamstring would have pulled on the fibula and made it worse. So I had to just be really patient, and it was really hard just kind of letting my fitness trickle away. And now I'm on the hard gravel back and trying to get all my training crammed in. There's only a bit under a month to go, which is exciting and also a bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the games. But so when you did do the arm and leg injury, was there anything that you could do? Obviously, if you can't cycle, was there anything you could do so that the cardio wouldn't wither away as quickly? Was there anything you could do?
No.
No.
No, I
Far
didn't
out.
do anything. Yeah,
That's
I was in a pretty bad way, like pretty
Yeah.
dependent. Like
Yeah.
my bedroom from before I crashed, I was in the race accommodation with my team, like in an Airbnb, and my bedroom was on the bottom floor, and like the kitchen was the floor above. And to get from one to the other, I had to ask two people every time to like carry my chair. So I'd like sit down in a chair, which was hard enough to actually get myself into a chair. And then they like had to pick up half the chair each and carry me up the stairs. So yeah, I was no way for training.
So you've really like come leaps and bounds in terms of recovery since then, because like, you know, you're saying that you're loving the outdoors, you're loving climbing the mountains on the bike, like going from bedridden and like sitting in a chair, barely being able to move, being in pain, to now like getting back into the full swing of training. You've put a shitload of effort in by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I've been working so hard, and yeah, I'm hoping that I'll be back to my proper peak fitness by Tokyo. But yeah, no matter where I come or no matter what fitness I'm in, like I'm working so hard, so I can be proud of that.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's almost we spoke about it as well. Like you want to be also like happy with the outcome, but you can't like you solely focus on that because there's other factors that come into it. You just like proud of your journey is just so important. And I think that's like such a great approach to have. The fact that regardless of the outcome, you've come a long way. And how did you get into cycling? If we go way back.
Yeah, so my family was always like an outdoor kind of family, very active, but I was the first cyclist in the family. So we did first racing cyclist. We did the Great Victorian Bike Ride as a family, which is like a 1 week kind of bikepacking trip across Victoria with other families and school groups. So it's like 3,000 people ride from town to town while like trucks take their bags between towns, and then you all camp in each town. It's super, super fun.
Wow.
And awesome. It's like, yeah, it's about 650 kilometers over 9 days, 8 days riding. So I did it when I was 5 and 6 on a trailer bike, which is like a joined bike with my mum.
Yeah.
And then after that, then I told her, oh no, one more year. When I was 7, I did it on a tandem. So that's the proper joined bike with my mum again. And then I told her that I was sick of looking at her backside and I wanted to do it on my own bike. But yeah, it's quite a long way. Like I think the longest ride to about 110. I'm trying to remember, but it's been a while. 110 kilometers or so. So a long way for a little 8-year-old. So we Googled cycling clubs for kids in Melbourne, and up came Brunswick Cycling Club. It wasn't the closest club to my house, but it said it was very, very family friendly. So we rocked out one day at the velodrome with my brother's old mountain bike in the car boot, and pulled it out, went over to the little building, and the guy running the show, he's dressed head to toe in pink, and he says, "You need a real bike." So he hands me this little track bike, which is a bike with no brakes and no gears.
Yeah, fix
that. They're the ones that scare me.
That's what I ride.
Yeah, exactly. One of those funny little handlebars to an 8-year-old that I've never seen before. And then I go over to the track with like it's steep banking. And let me tell you, I was not very good at the start. The first race was a 30-second challenge because you're meant to train. Everyone does one lap on their own and it just gets timed. That's a time trial. And yeah, you're meant to take under 30 seconds and then you can be like a cool kid because you cracked the 30-second challenge. And I took
barrier.
1 minute, 28 seconds.
Brilliant.
In the very lowest grade. But I had such a fun day, even that very first day. Dave, that's the guy known as Mr. Pink. He said to my mum, apparently, when I was still going round and round, the races had all finished and all the kids were like packing up and going home. And I was just like going round and round. He was waiting for me so he could put the bike back. He's very nice. And he said to my mum, "Oh, you're going to need a crowbar to get that girl off the bike." And he was just about right.
So from then on, you fell in love with it.
Yeah, it was pretty much love at first sight. So I did other sports before that, like basketball and then swimming. I did quite seriously until year 8. I started juggling them both, but it was always like a true love for cycling. I hadn't felt that about any other sport properly.
Wow. And was it a time, like management of time, that you go, okay, well, doing swimming just doesn't justify itself here because cycling, obviously, I'm loving and I'm starting to do well in. What was the decision when you started to transition off other sports?
Yeah, so year 8, I also remember because rowing was starting at our school. So rowing gets offered from year 9, but in year 8, everyone signs up and it was like super popular. It was amazing. Like half the year level signs up to do rowing and everyone wants to be in like the A squad. So I was like, oh, like I'm pretty fit from cycling. I'm going to sign up too. And I went to like 2 land sessions. I didn't even get in the boat because I did 2 land sessions and then I'm like, no, I'm too busy. Like I'm going to go. I've got racing. Like, yeah.
It's too
so
full on.
it was,
Wow.
yeah, I was, and then I think I quit swimming at the same time. I was just, yeah, ever since I started cycling, I've just been like kind of obsessed with being my best.
Now,
That's unreal.
well, there's so many different disciplines in cycling. You know, there's fixies, there's downhill MTB, there's enduro, track, you know, triathlons even. Like, what is it that took you to time trials? What do you love about that? Is it that need for speed? I've got to go fast, got to cut the times down as small as I can. Like, what is it that draws you to that element of cycling?
I think the beautiful part about time trialing is just it's you and that's it. It's just you, and it's just about how hard you can push yourself, and you just have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. So that whole time, it just really, really hurts. Like, okay, sprinting hurts, but it's over after a bit. Like a 30-second effort, you can do it, and it will really hurt. But then it goes away. Time trialing. I think sprinters have it easy. Time trialing is just pain the whole time, like half an hour, 40 minutes, just hurting yourself and seeing how hard you can hurt yourself. And I think that's pretty cool, really. Like, yeah.
I love how you sum that up as pretty cool. I love that.
So I find it really cool that I'm in so much pain that other people would quit.
Yeah. That's pretty motivating, almost place to be in physically. Like, a place that if you get to it, a place that no one else wants to be in, and if you get comfortable with that, then you're
doing pretty well.
Good. Yeah, it's incredible.
So, what was the moment? Like, when did you decide this is what I want to? I love this. I love cycling. I want to pursue this as a career and go into the professionals and go to the Olympics. Was that from the second you fell in love with it? You knew this is what I'm going to do, or a bit later on, you're like, I can really make a career out of this?
No, it's always been kind of small steps. I've always been totally in love with the sport. But yeah, ever since I was 8, even now, I still like the short-term goals. Maybe I have a short-term memory. I don't know. But just like in when I was 8, it's like, oh, I want to, I don't know, get from 1 minute 28 to 1 minute 20 or whatever. Or I want to go to the under 11 state championships or stuff like that. And then under 15, it's like, oh, I want to try and represent my state for the first time at junior nationals or and then like the end of juniors is roughly the end of under 17. So under 19 is like a transition period. And then it was more about, oh, I want to try and race in the senior national road series for the first time. And then after under 19s, then you're fully in the senior racing. And then it's like, okay, well, what next? I've raced in the national road series. And I guess I just try and keep climbing the ladder. It's not like I did it when people asked at school, for example, then I'd always say, I want to be a pro cyclist, but I didn't really think about it too much. Like
Wow.
there's a lot that goes into being a pro cyclist. You don't think about it when you're 8, but you have to like leave your family at home, or you have to be willing to like risk breaking your arm and leg at once in the middle of nowhere, like with none of your family around and everything like that. And you have to like get up and give 110% in your training every day, and you have to eat really well and sleep really well. And it's not just as simple as what you thought it was when you were 8 years old. So
eight-year-old. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, I think it's just kind of been over time. I've always just tried to keep being a little bit better, and it always just seemed to be like the next progression, but I wasn't like fixated on something.
Yeah.
Even though I always knew I wanted to do my best.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like the 8-year-old version of each and every one of us has this unrealistic expectation of what the dream is like.
Or naive, like
you're like, oh yes, I'm going to be a pro cyclist. And then 15, 16-year-old you comes down, it's like, why did you say you want to be a pro cyclist? I want to sleep in. Like, it's very interesting because a lot of
I guess that's why we're not going to the Olympics.
Yeah, that's why we're not going to the Olympics. But a lot of this chatting to champions, we have been hearing very similar things. There's like very young Olympians or future Olympians. You guys all sort of sit there and go, yeah, why not be a pro? Come on. And then you've just slowly progressed through the stages. It's really interesting to see like these recurring stories of, I don't really know what it takes because I'm 8, but let's give it a go. And then you just get there. It is really cool.
And like, so in 2019, when you decided to go pro with Tibco, what were the decisions you're weighing up at that point? Because that's sort of the choice that 8-year-old you wanted to make, but didn't know all the other factors that came into play.
I think when I was trying to go pro, I still didn't know because, I mean, it's one thing to say, oh yeah, you just go to Europe for half the year, or like not half the year, February until like, I think this year I'll be home in November. So, and then hotel quarantine probably. So quite a while this year. But I think it's more just like, okay, well, what do I want to do more? Like be at home, be with my family and friends, stay in the comfort zone, or do the best races in the world. And that was an easy decision for me. I just really wanted to keep testing myself against the best. And racing in Australia is great, but I just would have that itch if I didn't see what I had against the world's best.
100%. And there's a couple of other Aussies. Oh, sorry, one other Aussie. Is that right? In your Tibco team, who's also started going to the Olympics with you. Last year, was it?
We had 2 Aussies last year, but unfortunately they both retired, so it left me the only Aussie.
Well, you're keeping our name out there, so good job. And are you enjoying like the pro cycling scene for women? Because I'm looking at Tour de France now. Obviously, like they get paid big bucks in terms of the sport, and there's a lot of publicity around it. Do you think that the women's is held in like equal esteem? Are you enjoying it?
Is it supported enough?
Is it supported enough? Like walk us through that, because
certainly not equal. It's actually a really unequal sport, apparently, when you consider it to a lot of others. So like athletes or even just staff coming over from different sports often say like they're quite shocked, feel like back in time, because cycling can be a little behind the times sometimes when it comes to that. Although in saying that, and you mentioned the Tour de France, it's actually a really exciting period in women's cycling right now because we are making so many steps forward. And Zwift has just announced that they're going to support a new Tour de France Femmes from next year. There will be a Tour de France for women.
Really?
Super, super cool.
That is fantastic.
And, so I'm just so pumped to hopefully be able to race that. So right now, and it actually happened yesterday. Shame you missed it. I think it was early in Australia at like 4:30 p.m. But there was a 1-day race for the women that was tied with the men's Tour de France called La Course, and it was super exciting. So you should go back and watch a replay of the last 5 kilometers. But yeah, there's a difference between a one-day race that's alongside the Tour de France, and I think the Tour de France fans will be, I'm not sure exactly, I think it was something like 9 days. So a big step up, and I'm really excited to hopefully race the first one next year.
Wow, that's exciting. I'm excited for you.
That's
and for women's cycling as well, because that. Well, I don't know as much about cycling, but a friend who came onto the show, we said, "Oh, we're speaking to you soon," and he goes, "Oh, make sure you ask about the women's cycling, because from his perspective, he goes, they're completely just it's not equal, like you were saying." And he was curious on your take and what should be done, and making a Tour de France for women's is a great step in that direction. But what else should be done to equalize cycling between men and women and increase the sport of cycling?
Yeah, I think unfortunately it does just take a lot of time. So, I mean, the men's Tour de France has been going for a while, and there did used to be a women's Tour de France as well, but that got canned, unfortunately. It was actually a really good race apparently, and it went really well until the early 2000s, but then it was dumped completely and there was nothing. And then there was La Course, so this one-day race, and now it's good to see it's coming back, and just hopefully we can get lots of eyes watching it, both on the road and on TV. So yeah, I think just getting the word out that there's a Tour de France happening, and we need to get people watching.
So it sounds like you are really enthusiastic, of course, because it's your dream. How do you see yourself advocating for better female cycling conditions? Are you going to try to step up in the world stage and make your voice heard, or are you going to support in the background? Because I feel like both terms of support is very important. It's always good to have like the poster girl up there who's saying, go women's cycling, but it's also really important to have the people in the shadows. Where do you sort of see yourself fitting in terms of supporting this new growth in the sport?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll just keep trying to do what seems right, I guess. Maybe I will be in the shadows. Maybe I will be that person that stands up and advocates, but I'm always happy if I'm asked in interviews, or if I'm asked to do something like a publicity event or go down and talk with the juniors. I always try and do that because it can make such a difference. And yeah, I think my number one goal when it comes to that area is just being a good inspiration to up and coming cyclists, whether they're men or women, but mainly little boys and girls. I think that can make a massive difference, because we need lots of people to watch cycling, but we also need to encourage those little girls coming through and show them that they can also be cyclists one day, whether that's competitive or not. But yeah, I just remember having a lot of role models growing up, and even now I still look up to so many different cyclists. So I think it really makes a massive difference.
Who are you looking up to at the moment, and are you, especially now, are you speaking to them, and are they sort of giving you pieces of advice about the Olympics, and just sort of getting you ready and familiar with what to expect?
Well, it's a bit tricky because they're my competitors now, even though I look up to them. So I want to beat them. So Annemiek van Vleuten, she's not exactly giving me advice for the Olympics, because yes, we're racing against each other at the Olympics. But I do look up to her a lot, and Anna van der Breggen and Marianne Vos. They're the 3 riders on the Dutch team, and the 4th rider is the person that won La Course yesterday, Demi Vollering. So you can have 4 riders on a team, and that's their 4. So like 3 absolute legends, and then another legend in the making who's pretty much already a legend now. So they're a very, very strong team. I think they're the ones that everyone will have their eyes on in Tokyo. And then also for Australia, when I was growing up, it was always Annette Edmondson she's a track rider, and I used to love track and road. Now I just do road, but yeah, I always looked up to Nettie Edmondson. So it's so cool. She's going to the Olympics as well, but yeah, she'll be in the village oh no, I think the track riders stay outside of the village as well. But anyway, she'll be like a couple hours away from where we are. We're also out of the village. And then later, once I started realizing that although Nettie is fabulous and really nice person, I'm a completely different type of rider to her. Then I also really started following Amanda Spratt's career. So it's actually really cool because she's my teammate in Tokyo, which is awesome when you look up to someone for so long and then suddenly you're going to the Olympics together.
That's awesome. That is really cool.
You could be one of the greats, you know. I don't think you've thought about this, but you're sitting here saying that from a very early age you wanted to be a pro. You're now there. Well, you're on the cusp of your career, really. There's probably going to be a lot of little girls and boys out there watching the Olympics. And if they're fortunate enough to see, I don't think you realize, but you're probably going to be their hero now. Like, how does that make you feel? You've gone from like zero to hero in a way.
It is really nice to think, like, it's heartwarming to think about, kids hopefully getting inspired by us. And I do remember, like, after everyone watched Cadel winning the Tour de France, or everyone watched Anna Meares, I remember that. I think I'm a bit young, but I remember watching Anna definitely get that last bronze medal at the Olympics. That was super cool. And I think people definitely, like, especially the track cycling, you don't really know about it as a sport sometimes until you see the Olympics. So yeah, the Olympics is one of those really cool events where suddenly people that don't normally watch cycling, or suddenly people that don't normally watch synchronized diving, for example. Yeah. I love watching that, and the gymnastics. Really? So it's just super cool because you just get so many different people, even people that don't normally watch sport at all. Like, a lot of people watching and cheering Aussie. So yeah, it's really, really special to think that hopefully we'll have a lot of the Aussie public watching us and cheering us on. And it just makes me really grin to think about how I'll be able to wear the green and gold. And yeah, it's just going to be such an honor. Hopefully we can do Australia proud.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're already doing that already, just listening to you. You're doing a great job. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned just you love gymnastics. And was there a difficult point in your life where you had to give up gymnastics? Because it sounds still pretty dear in your heart.
Oh, no. I've never done gymnastics or anything like that.
She finds it interesting.
I like watching it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I have two left feet, so no difficult decisions.
Now,
I wish.
Yeah, you wish. Yeah. If you were given the opportunity and the blessing to compete in a sport for the Winter Olympics, what would it be?
Oh, I need a list of sports.
Don't think about it too much. We're trying to get everyone's opinion off the top of their head.
Okay, off the top of my head, the one I know of. Okay, so I know there's. Well, I'm gonna go downhill skiing, like this. Is it slalom or something? I don't know.
Oh, like the one where there's all the bumps and you've got to. Oh, the flags. Yeah.
You go through the flags. Yes, that one. That's so fun.
Extremely difficult. There was I was fortunate enough to go overseas, and when I was in Italy with my family, I was watching some local competitions, and I saw a guy who unfortunately wiped out on a local course, and just those flags, like, they don't seem like it would hurt very much when they're hitting it, but because you're zooming in and out, going like 80 k an hour, it's pretty gnarly. So good sport to pick. That's very tough.
When you talk about the time trials and you said that it's you versus you're in complete isolation, and it's how long can you be in pain for and how much further can you push it. I guess, like, going back to what you said about 95% of your training at the moment being on your own, it's sort of working in your favor. Was that planned or just coincidentally you had to go to Spain and you had to train on your own?
I think, I do have people I can ride with. Like I said, there are some Aussies, and I go for my easy rides. I've done a few with friends, but it's mainly on my own because I'm doing very, very specific training. So time trial efforts, for example, like my friends I like to think they like riding with me, but they probably wouldn't like it if I said, oh, when I come riding, I have 4 by 8 minutes with 30 seconds at 320 watts, and then 25 seconds at 260 watts, and then we have to do some 20-minute tempo efforts, and then so they like riding, but it's very, very specific.
And with the specificity, is that something you've programmed for yourself, or is there someone overlooking in Spain, or is someone over here coaching you, or is it your Timco team?
It's actually really nice. My coach back in Australia is still coaching me to the Olympics. So it's pretty cool because, I didn't have a coach when he offered to start coaching me just after I won my first elite national title. So in 2019, it was quite weird. Like, nearly everyone has a coach by that point, but I didn't have a coach. So I coached myself to the national title.
Wow.
But then
just casually,
I trained really hard.
Yeah,
I trained really hard. But after that, then I started getting coached by Dylan. And the cool thing is that he didn't have any athletes at the time either. Like, I was in his first little batch of athletes when he graduated and became a coach. So I've trusted him and he's trusted me, and now we've made it to the Olympics. It's so cool. So I'm glad that he can coach me all the way up to Tokyo.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go, Alex. That's exciting. That's super exciting. Is he going to Tokyo as well? Is Dylan going to Tokyo?
No, I wish. It's very even stricter than normal because of all the COVID protocols. So limited staff. Unfortunately, Dylan doesn't get to come. He'll be cheering on TV.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of tech nowadays. Like, even though he's not necessarily there with you, you can still do something similar to what we're doing now. You can still run through your programs. You can still be like, hell, you could be on the phone while you're doing your time trials, all these sort of things. So it's cool that whilst you're separated by miles and miles and miles, you still have like that intimate relationship of your coach being there to support you and like develop you as you sort of taper into the Olympics. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. And even though we have time zones a little bit in the way sometimes, he gets up really early. So even if I ask him a question in my afternoon, that would mean, like, if it was a different person, then I'd have to wait until I wake up in the morning to get a reply. But Dylan wakes up so early because he's so dedicated. He trains before work, and half the time he's up at 4 a.m. himself to get his training in. So I'll get a reply in my evening mostly, which is cool.
That's I think that just goes a long way. Like, just by listening to, completely unrelated, but Michael Jordan and his coach Tim Grover, and just in terms of coaches going those extra miles, he was saying his coach would watch him and count the number of steps he would take each game. He would slow it down to like a quarter of a speed just to track him, just so that he could go in and do ultimate recovery and just build a training program around that. But he was just so focused. And I feel like just the dedication to the craft, and because coaching is a craft as well. It goes
Dylan
a long way.
is absolutely amazing. Like, I think a coach-athlete relationship is one of the most important ones you can have. And I've had to really trust him even more lately because after my crash, I did lose fitness and I didn't feel so strong. And even now I'm trying not to doubt myself. Like, that's why I'm a little bit nervous. We only have a few weeks left, but I'm mainly excited. But I am still like, I hope I, can peak in time. So that's where Dylan really comes in and just tells me to trust the process and just keep chipping away, getting better each day. So I'm really grateful to him for keeping me positive and keeping my training on track to hopefully make me be on track.
Of course, that's super important.
That trust the process is extremely important because, as you said, you still got to get yourself to the peak in time. Now, we wanted to run through a little game of one or the other. So I'm going to shoot out a few different options. Don't think too much. Just pick an answer and we'll go from there, okay?
Mhm.
So, downhill mountain biking or enduro?
Downhill.
Brilliant. Bungee jumping or skydiving?
Skydiving.
That sounds like a neither.
Are you afraid of heights? Are you?
No, but I don't want to jump.
Yeah.
I'm completely afraid of them. I don't want to do that. Definitely skydiving, I think.
Okay, you got a 3 option here: tea, coffee, or energy drinks.
Oh, I was hoping the third one would be hot chocolate. Tea.
Is hot chocolate your favorite? Is it?
Out of the drinks, I normally just drink water. I'm pretty boring.
Well, Swiss hot chocolates, I've heard, they're the bomb.com. What about this? Screen time or books?
Well, in the past, I would have said books, but I have to say, I hardly brought any books over here with me. So screen time at the moment, not the best.
And finally, podcasts or music?
Oh, that's really hard. I love both. I'm going to say music. Sorry, guys, because I use music on the ergo when I'm going really hard. Then I need like that music. But then on like endurance rides or just like around that. Actually, I'm listening to a ton of Spanish podcasts at the moment, like just when I'm like cooking or something like that or cleaning my bike, because I'm really trying hard to learn Spanish. My neighbors and my landlords, they live above me and they're super nice, but they don't speak any English. So I've got to try my best to learn some Spanish.
How is your Spanish?
Poco a poco.
Okay, yeah, little bits. Because mine's not great either. But I mean, I understood what you sort of said there. But I had a 1 week trip to Panama that we sort of booked with friends, and in Panama, no one speaks English, and it's tourist friendly, but there's not like it's not built for tourists in a way that there's people speaking English. And I just remember one of the most difficult, two was speaking to taxi drivers and then ordering Subway. Just something so simple as because there's so many options there. Yeah. They're asking. How have you found just sort of adapting in Spain?
No, I'm going okay. So most shops you can get by like with the money. It's pretty easy. You just like if you're not sure, just give them a note and then hope either they look at you like they want more or they give you some back. So get back, okay.
Just hope not to get scammed.
Yeah, you've got to be an expert at body language, just judging the look.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Oh, and with the tenses, like I'm still only in the present tense for now. That's I have to work on my past and future. So right now I'm going around saying en el pasado, en el futuro. So I'll be like, I go to the shops in the past. I go to the shops in the future, and just hope that they know that I'm trying to use other tenses.
Yeah, wait till you get to the gerund. That is by far the hardest tense. It's very difficult, but you'll get there. I mean, hell, the fact that you're even trying to learn another language on top of recovery, like, come on, girl.
Well, I think it's better for your mind to do other stuff. I'm also studying at uni, but yeah, I think it's better
double degree
than
as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's linguistics
and geography. Is that right?
Yeah, linguistics and geography. But fantastic. Yeah, I think it's like healthy to have another goal, and then maybe if racing isn't going so well, not that I'm racing at the moment, but like if you have a bad race, well, you've got uni to focus on. Or just something. It's not all about just like if your power was good that day or if your team won that race or something like that. It's just nice to have a different goal, and also really just smart to have another backup plan. So even though I want to be a pro cyclist, hopefully like Annemiek van Vleuten is one of the very best in the sport, and I think she's like 37 now and I'm only 20. So hopefully I can have a long career, but you never know what will happen. Yeah. And I just like having a backup plan as well.
100%. What are some of the things that you can do to prolong your career? Is there certain recovery? Is it ice baths? Is it cryo? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we try and stretch a lot, but I guess just eating well, sleeping well, not training too much. Like you have to train a lot and you have to train hard, but you have to also have a smart coach and listen to your coach, listen to the people around you, I think. But also some of it is just luck. Like I've known some riders have just had horrendous concussions, for example, and that's just a case of wrong place, wrong time in the peloton. So it is a really cruel sport in that way.
Yeah, it's actually just amazing, like the number of people we've spoken to, and I always just find it interesting, just learning about how they try and rest and recover, and I always think sleeping is the best as well, but I don't know, I always think that an expert has some secret sauce or some secret strategy, but they're like, water, a good diet, and sleep are like the big three, and it's
I'm waiting to be told like, you've got to combine like chalk and gelatin to create like this special mixture that's gonna make you feel $1 million. But it's just not the case. It seems very like stock standard, regimented, and simple. Like your recovery will get there. Yeah, exactly, simple.
Is there anything when you're focusing on nutrition that you try and go towards? Is it certain foods?
Just I guess a lot of carbs to help fuel my training. So especially on the bike, that's the most important thing, and that's something I didn't really know about it in juniors and stepping up. So it's been really nice to have that support. We do quite a lot of like, I guess, almost nutritional education now, as you get up to the higher ranks. But yeah, I think it would have been nice to know earlier, because I always remember, when I was like 16, I'd go on like the 4.5-hour ride on a Saturday. We do every week to go out to King Lake, just with my riding friends. And it always felt really, really hard. Like it was fine, and it was meant to be hard because like we'd sprint up all the hills, and it's 4.5 hours, and it's at like 5 a.m. So like it's meant to be hard, but I think a lot of it was just that I didn't know how much you meant to eat doing a 4.5-hour ride. So yeah, I'm trying to eat 60 to 80 grams of carbs per hour during a ride, and I think I don't normally go around with bananas because I need to have too many bananas in my pockets. My pockets aren't big enough for like 1 billion bananas. But I'm pretty sure bananas like 20. It's hard because I don't use bananas. Let me check.
Yeah.
Banana carbs. I think it's about 20.
I think usually
one medium banana
30.
has 27.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like three medium bananas. No, 3 because it's 27.
Oh, true.
Yeah. So that's why I definitely wasn't going around having 13 bananas in my 4.5-hour ride.
So what's the food then?
Oh, it depends. Some like in races we might use like the energy drinks. Like we can get really, really concentrated ones that have 80 grams in one bottle, which tastes interesting, but you get it down. Or you can have like gels. Do you know what cycling gels are? They're kind of like
the squishy gels, yep.
Yeah,
things.
The goo.
Oh, or you can have energy bars, but then in training, well, it's actually strange. Galettas, they're like this weird Spanish biscuit. I went to the muesli section in the supermarket, and I'm like, man, these are so expensive. So then I went to the biscuit section, and there was a kind of biscuit that had the exact same like energy profile. I was like, yeah, that's good. Like lots of carbs in that. But I'm going around eating biscuits. Also, you can make rice cakes if you're better at cooking than I am. The sports dietitian always tells me to make rice cakes, but I'm quite lazy when it comes to cooking if I don't have to. But rice cakes are really good. Sandwiches, or maybe like little fruit cakes, or whatever you like, really. Just as long as it has lots of carbs.
Yeah. So it was sampling, it was trying different things to sort of figure out like what you like the taste of and what doesn't upset your stomach. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty lucky. My stomach seems to go okay on everything. But it was more a case of just like working out how much you really need to eat when you're training, because it's insane. And if you told like a normal cyclist like to do that, and then they probably would be like, what, that's so much food. Like I don't know anyone that eats that amount on the bike without like purposely thinking about it, because it's a ton of food. Like lots of people, we eat a lot off the bike too, but yeah, it's more about eating on the bike as well. That was the real like eye opener, and also the real thing that's made a difference, and it means that I can keep training, and even in the last hour of that 5-hour ride, then I'll still be training strong.
If you're listening right now, we're giving away one $20 gift card to the first listener to DM us on Instagram, which is @Outspoken Show, Sarah from Melbourne. We just love the fact that you're from Australia as well, representing. So we thought we'd use that as a code. But make sure you come back to the program, of course, to hear what's next. But so like, is it a nutritionist you've consulted to sort of figure out what works, or is it online resources, or is it Dylan, your coach? Sorry, this is also Dylan, that's why. But yeah, is it a nutritionist that's giving you the advice?
Yeah.
And
I have the National Federation, so the same one that is in charge of like the Olympic team. They've given me access to a sports dietitian while I'm here in Girona. So yeah, I'm seeing Gemma at the moment, and we're going through the plans for Tokyo right now, actually. So in order to tell the AOC like how many supplements of this, how many bars of that flavor, how many gels of this flavor should they take to Japan. Then I'm sitting down with Gemma. I feel like I'm back in school, like we're going through, okay, what are you going to eat in the road race? Like, so in hour 1, what are you going to eat? What are you going to start with on your bike? How many gels are you going to take in your pocket? Like for the meal before the time trial, what's it going to be? If you start at 11:30 a.m., what are you going to eat? Like, when are you going to get up? Then when are you going to eat? Then when are you going to eat after that? What are you going to eat during like your warm up, stuff like that?
So this sounds
planning everything out.
Yeah, this sounds like ultra detailed, ultra prepped.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people that we've spoken to from the Chatting with Champions project, some of them say that they don't like to be super prepared and super detailed in terms of if one little chink in the armor falls apart, the whole thing's broken. How do you feel with your prep? Because it sounds like you enjoy it a little bit. Like when you're speaking, you got a smile on your face. You're loving the fact that, or you get to eat a crap load of food, and like you get to train a heap. Are you enjoying being this detailed, or would you prefer if it was a little bit more vague, a little bit more up to your discretion?
I mean, it's still up to me in a lot of ways, and I'm the one like telling Gemma really what I want. Like she's like, okay, so to get to like 80 grams an hour, then maybe you could have energy drink and 1 gel an hour, or maybe you want like the half as concentrated energy drink and 3 gels per hour, stuff like that. Or like maybe you want a bar, like what do you want? So it's still like me making a lot of the decisions, and I'm the one that chooses to have biscuits in my pockets when I go riding. I could make rice cakes if I wanted.
Have you consulted Jenna about the biscuits from the shops?
Well, she did keep bugging me about the rice cakes, but I gave her the truth. I said, look, I'm buying this massive container of biscuits for like €1, and it's the best deal ever. So I mean, they give me the knowledge I need to make the right decisions, and then I can make the right decisions. And with the training, I don't make those decisions, I have to say, but I still get to choose where I ride, when I ride. If I do try and convince someone to come with me, which doesn't really work for my normal interval days, but yeah, like it's still, I feel like maybe I've been brainwashed, but I feel like I'm in charge.
It's always nice feeling in charge, feeling in control, as well as I think a level of comfort that comes with that too.
So you're saying that you're doing these like time trial intervals. Now, when I ride, I like to do a lot of like bike packing. I like to do more of a medium pace sightseeing type of ride. Is that something that you're going to venture into once the Olympics are done? Like as you're sort of coming out of the Olympics, peak performance, go back into like more fun riding, or are you just going to get right back into the saddle, start prepping again for the pro scene?
Yeah, I think actually I might have to just do the latter. I unfortunately had to miss a couple really, really big races for my team. So the one yesterday, La Course by the Tour de France, and also the Giro Rosa in July. I'm not doing either of those. I told my team that unfortunately, because of my crash, I'm just not at the level of fitness I wanted to be at a month out from the games. So I'm going to use every scrap of time I have left to train as hard as I can, not like travel and taper, and you get the competition, but then you have to recover a little bit as well. So it just kind of almost wastes some training time, I think, in a way. And also it's not specific training for the time trial. So yeah, I had to pull myself out of those 2 races, which my team wasn't that happy about. I mean, they've been very supportive of me, but I definitely want to get back to racing for them because yeah, in Tokyo, I'll be wearing the green and gold of Australia, which is so, so special. But yeah, I need to get back to racing in the Team Tipico Silicon Valley Bank colours as well. And we have some good races lined up after Tokyo. And also, I'm crossing my fingers that I'll get picked for the World Championships in September in Belgium. So we don't find out about the selections for another 2 months, I think now, but yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah,
what pro races should we keep our eyes peeled for after the Olympics? And do you have sort of like estimated times of when they'd sort of be happening?
Yeah, so my schedule's still a little bit up in the air, but I think my races might be the Norway. I might get to go to Norway in August. I think it might be late August. It's just a bit hard with COVID because races are getting cancelled and postponed. So I was meant to go kind of straight to Sweden after the Olympics, but then that one's been cancelled. So now I'm not really sure where I'm going. And because I stopped my rental for when I leave for Tokyo, so that, then I just go to Sweden after that.
Yeah.
Now I kind of have to figure out where I'll be living until Norway. And then I'll be going to like France for the Tour of Ardèche, hopefully the UK for the women's tour, and back to France, Chrono des Nations, which is a time trial. So yeah, I'm excited. Like I am, disappointed that I missed the race yesterday and I'm missing the Giro. It was really hard to watch yesterday's race because it just looked so fun, but it was fun to cheer on my teamies, and it was so good that it was streamed, and it was on TV. So I was really lucky there.
I mean, for me, it seems like a pretty fun decision to make. Like, where do you want to go after Tokyo? Like, somewhere in Europe,
Sweden, France.
Like you got some pretty good options.
Yeah, we're lucky in a way that we get to travel so much, but sometimes it's just nice to not have to be on the move every day as well. Like when we were in Belgium, it was like, go here for a race, go to the Netherlands, then go there, go to the other side of Belgium. So I really like just being in one place, just in Girona.
Yeah, that's I guess probably one of the toughest aspects. And when you're moving around so much, is there any mishaps that happen? It's shit, hang on, I've left something behind.
My bike is not in Tokyo.
is there any transit? Transit
everything. Lots of things go wrong, but you just learn to roll with the punches, work it out, and ask for help. I think asking for help is what I've learned most, even when it comes to stuff like unit extensions. I'd never asked for an extension before, but when I broke my arm and I was going into the surgery, and all I was thinking about was, oh my God, I've got this assignment due and I haven't done it. So I think just asking for help, asking for extensions, there's a reason that they're there. And there's so many people that would be willing to help you if you just let them know that you need help. So I think asking for help has saved me, and I'm really glad that I've done it, and grateful to everyone that's helped.
Yeah. Is there any parts around the world that you really want to go to cycle, like almost just more for the adventure aspect? Japan.
well,
because I'm excited for the Olympics. Yes, that's why.
That's awesome. I mean, it sounds like it's happening.
This dream's
It's all
coming
happening,
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, all we're hearing is like, these are my goals that I've had since I was little, and now all of them are lined up. I've just got to shoot the ducks down. You know, like you've really done a good job in preparing yourself in terms of not having them all stacked on top of each other at one point in time. Like you've got this thing this year, then these 3 things in the next month after that, and then like the year after that, you've got these races. Like you've really nailed this, I think.
Thanks.
And it's like, I'm just wondering because when it goes to those like those tough mornings when you don't have anyone you're meeting to go train with, what's on your mind? Is it the Olympics? Like, is it one event, or is it a thought that you've got internally that really motivates you?
Yeah, right now I just think about how I want to feel when I'm on the start line for Tokyo, and I want to feel like I've done everything I can, and yeah, I can be happy with my ride no matter how it goes, because I did literally everything I could in the preparation, and that's what motivates me. I haven't skipped a session, and I won't skip a session unless I'm sick. But yeah, I haven't just like slacked off because, well, I'm not that kind of person normally anyway, which is probably why I'm getting to go to the Olympics. But yeah, I just want to feel proud and like I've done 100%, and then I don't have to worry about anything because it's the best I could have done.
That sounds like a pretty awesome way to train and a great way to live life.
Mentality you need to get to that level. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been really awesome chatting to you, Sarah. It's been a lot of fun, and just hearing your passion for the sport, passion for representing Australia, being like really motivating and inspiring. It's been really, really cool.
It's refreshing. I think, like you said before, the fact that women's cycling is coming in leaps and bounds, and we've got someone like you sort of advocating for that and being passionate about it.
Positive role model.
Yeah, you are a positive role model. As Luke was saying, like it's really nice to hear, and I think it's refreshing. I think if you guys as athletes continue this sort of mentality and behavior, I mean, hell, the sport's going to grow immensely. Like you said, I mean, it's only been with the new Tour de France course for a little while now, and yet it's got so much traction. So it's great to see.
Yeah. And
Yes.
thanks again for coming onto the show. Where can they find you, Sarah, if they want to follow your journey?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. Probably the best place. Well, I post all my rides on Strava, so don't know how many of your listeners have Strava, but that's just Sarah Gigante there. But on Instagram, I tend to post some updates, although I'm sorry if my captions are sometimes essays. Slipstream Sarah, so like time trialing. That's why I decided on Slipstream, so I get nice and error. Yeah, Slipstream Sarah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming onto the show, Sarah. Been really amazing to talk to you, and good luck in Tokyo.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
See you, mate. Good luck.